dear participants of the 8th Forum of the Adriatic-Ionian region, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, let me first introduce myself. I'm Jasminka Kirkova, State Councillor for Transport Policy from the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure from the Republic of North Macedonia, and together with Mr. Pierluigi Coppola from Italy and Mr. Jovica Rakic from the Ministry of Construction, Infrastructure and Transport from the Republic of Serbia. I'm co-coordinator of the Pillar 2 Subgroup for Transport. It is my pleasure to chair today's session dedicated to planning for sustainable urban mobility in the Adriatic-Ionian region. And today we witness that urban mobility is becoming increasingly important and essential towards the developing of greener transport systems, boosting economic sectors, and also improving people's quality of life. We can simply define the urban mobility as movements of people and goods via public or private transportation, but the one that makes the difference is how the local self-governments are managing these processes and how they are, in terms of creating preconditions, primary to enable free float and at the same time to minimize the congestions. At the very beginning, I'm inviting Mr. Pierluigi Coppola to address you and to give introductory speech. Why urban mobility is additional focus in the pillars 2, what are the current trends of the urban mobility, challenges of sustainability, and at the same time, what are the opportunities for creating livable urban spaces by putting new mobility solutions into practice.
Thank you, Jasminka. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for the kind introduction, Jasminka. As said, I'm a co-coordinator of Pillar 2, and in this very short keynote address this morning, I'm going to just introduce the topic of urban mobility as an additional focus area for Pillar 2. We are going to see in this session and going to discuss about best practice in sustainable urban mobility planning in the Adriatic and Ionian Sea, and I'm just going to give you the framework, why urban mobility is now being, let's say, growing the attention also of our pillar. So the urban nodes in the EU policy are gaining more and more interested. You may know that in the last revision of the TEN-T network, more than 424 urban nodes have been added. Cities in the new framework of EU policies are seen as innovation hub, places where you have to seize the new mobility opportunity in order, as was said, to boost the economy, but also to improve cohesion and to improve quality of life of citizens in all Europe. As you can read, by 2040, so at least one multimodal passenger hub and one multimodal freight terminal would be realized in all these nodes, as well as the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan should be released for all these 424 cities. In this lecture today, I'm going to say why it is so important and why we need to tackle with urban mobility. Urban mobility now is facing huge problem due to one trend that is going, it has been, let's say, growing, that is the urbanization of and the movement of people from rural areas to cities. This has produced this very well-known phenomenon among urban planners that is called urban sprawl, that has also, let's say, promoted an auto-oriented city development and also auto-oriented lifestyle. So one of the problems of this growing trends of urban mobility, of growing population in the city is the fact that the growth is, if not well managed, as it has happened in the last decades, produce externalities, in particular traffic congestion, and with all the externalities that these produce in terms not only of waste of time in queuing, congestion, but also in terms of road safety and pollution. You are very well aware of the fact that loss of lives are lost in road accidents every year, and despite the fact that the trends are declining in terms of number of accidents per year, it is keeping stable in terms of vulnerable road users like pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists. This means that road safety is still an issue to be tackled in the urban environment, in the cities, as well as pollution for what it produces in terms of quality of air. So there's a need of managing this growing urbanization, but also dealing with some other trends affecting in particular the cities, and in particular the population aging. The population is growing, but is also aging. This means that planners nowadays need to cope with new mobility needs, particularly for elderly, but also for cope with new lifestyle that derive from the digital-oriented and ubiquitous connected required from people that impose us to rethink how mobility services are provided. There are new mobility patterns as well that is challenging. People move more than in the past. The travels consist of several modes. Different purposes are merged together in one travel. So there is multi-purpose travels that characterize the daily pattern of the demand in the city, and in some cases these travels may involve also trips between cities, as we will see in one of the lectures today. So how to cope with these trends and these challenges for the cities? There is first the needs to integrate modes and services in urban area, and this should happen focusing on mainly on those collective modes of transport like mass rapid transit, but also integrating it with the sharing modes like cycling, bike sharing, and car sharing. The hub of this integration should be hubs where different services of transport may converge, and we will see an example, a proposal of a new concept here in Sarajevo. But integration does not only relate to modes of transport, it also it also means how services could be offered in an integrated way. I'm here referring to the possibility of using these that are called big data, so the availability of data taken from our smartphone, other devices, in order to offer services customized to people's need and also accessible in innovative way, like as the using platform mobility as a service platform, MaaS platform, that allow you not only to get information about integrated services along a given path through an origin and to the final destination, but also allowing to purchase ticket in one single app. There is the issue of electrification and let's say how to deal with the renewal of fleets, private and buses fleet, that may give a contribution in order to improve air quality, but this is challenging for what concern the current limitation in terms of battery autonomy, in terms of investment in the charging infrastructure, and also, as we will see in one of the lecture later today, on how this could impact on the operation and the provision of transit services. Last but not least, this is a key message that comes from several cities. There should be a rethinking of the use of urban spaces. This means that roads should not be seen as spaces for vehicle uses, but the design of the road should be more people-oriented, and this is an example of how a junction could be rethought in terms of giving and offering space, services, facility to people living in that area. Of course, some help, support may come from advanced technology. This is something that would relate to the, let's say, mid-long-term future, and but still some experience are ongoing, and I'm here referring to the use of connected and autonomous vehicles for urban transport and for offering new services customized to the new mobility needs of citizens, as well as using the third dimension of the mobility, so improve advanced air mobility services that for some specific segment of demand could be very suitable. So in opening this session, I would say, not in concluding this presentation, in opening, and I think that this has given some, let's say, a topic for reflection and for discussion today. We, as Pillar 2 in the EUSAIR, are very much interested in discussing about urban mobility that is now has been proposed as a new topic of cross-pillar relevance for the Adriatic-Ionian region, and one specific chapter on urban mobility will be devoted to the challenges, and the chapter that is master plan that is under finalization would be dedicated to the challenges that we are all facing in urban mobility for, let's say, the promotion of innovative but also inclusive mobility solution in the city of our Adriatic and Ionian region. Thank you.
Thank you, Pierluigi, for your introductory speech relating to the common challenges that has to be addressed in order for the current conditions to be overcome, and what has to be done in order to cope with the growing needs in the urban areas and in urban cities. And there are solutions, and today we will have the opportunity to see some best practices, also the conducted studies by representatives from the several cities in the Adriatic-Ionian region, the solutions for Belgrade, Novi Sad, Trieste, Lefka, Sarajevo, and Padua, as an examples for common challenges, common solution, and some innovative solutions. And we can start with the presentation, but at the very beginning, I have to tell you that in order to be within the framework of the dedicated time for this session, that needs to end around 11, it will be good if the presenters will try to present their presentation within around 5 minutes, and in order to have 5 minutes for the questions and answers. So I would like to say to keep in mind the time that is limited. Of course, today's session is very interesting, but we have to consider our time for this. Now I am inviting Mr. Jovica Rakic from the Ministry of Construction, Transport and Infrastructure of Republic of Serbia, who will present the examples for sustainable urban mobility planning in Serbia for towns Belgrade and Novi Sad, the most biggest cities and also most developed ones. Mr. Rakic, please.
Thank you, Jasminka. Thank you, Pierluigi. Respected colleagues, good morning. As Jasminka said, my name is Jovica Rakic and I'm from the Ministry of Construction, Transport and Infrastructure from the Republic of Serbia. I will try to be short as much as I can. I have some presentation prepared. I decided this time to present the possible green, smart and sustainable solutions for transport and implemented. They are already implemented or planned to be implemented in several cases in Serbia and in Belgrade and Novi Sad, especially as two biggest cities in Serbia. First of all, the cities of Belgrade and Novi Sad are spatially different and architecturally differently placed. So some of the streets of Belgrade are not as the same, how should I say, are not in the orthogonal matrix scheme as Novi Sad is. So the transportation is much more easier in Novi Sad than in Belgrade. First of all, let's start with the activities that are already implemented in accordance with Strategy of Sustainable Urban Development of the Republic of Serbia. Here you can see all the points that I made. That is the implementation adopted for Sustainable Urban Mobility Plans, or SUMP, for Belgrade, Kruševac, Šabac, Valjevo, and Aleksinac. Those are cities in Serbia. I'll skip that. The 7 thematic areas of the contextual analysis of the state of urban development covers the following issues, such as the sustainable economic growth, inclusive urban development, environment, and climate change. Those are in the strategy. The main issues tackled in the strategy of sustainable urban development for 2030 are that the 96% of all passengers are daily migrations, and around 2/3 of all travels are made by public city or suburban passenger transport, while the rest are intercity mobility. There the functionality of public city transport in urban settlements that are needed continuously renewal and modernization of its vehicle fleet, and needs to be more environmentally friendly. So that leads us to the bicycle transport, pedestrian mobility, and the need of integration of all these transport areas and in one so-called the mobility hub, where we can use all kinds of transport and be more mobility efficient. should I say? What is this? This I can skip for now. This is the table of the compliance of the documents with the objectives of the EU transport policy in Serbia. As you can see, there is a high level of compliance with the EU transport policy, and also several aspects we need to dedicate special attention in the next stages of development of some. Just a quick word for the drafting of the new strategy for the development of railroad, water and air and intermodal transport in Republic of Serbia, which is underway. For now, the tentative deadline for drafting for finishing the strategy is the fourth quarter of this year. The railway transport already implements these master plans, and the waterways transport sector already applies the strategy in the field of waterways transport for 2025. For now, that's the current situation. As for the mentioned cases of Belgrade and Novi Sad, these are some of the demographical and other descriptions of Belgrade, I think. Yeah. Just to mention that Belgrade is currently, I think, continuously purchasing new vehicles and renewing new vehicles that are ecologically acceptable, like trams and trolleys and buses. Electric buses especially. These are some of the practices that we have in Belgrade. For now, that's the Vrabac vehicle, Sparrow. The practice is copied from the Ljubljana's Cavalier vehicles that are used for pedestrians in the center of the city. There are also eco-buses with the electric buses with electric stations that can charge their batteries after every round they take. There are also trolleys and trams used for half a century and more in Belgrade for now. These are the new vehicles that are in the streets of Belgrade. As for the pedestrians, what is the most important, that the city of Belgrade entered into agreement with the consortium of Siemens Mobility and Telegroup on the procurement of equipment and design, establishing the system for adaptive management of light traffic signals. This is not the presentation. This is the other one. It doesn't matter. It has some pictures on it. On this link, you can see the promotion video of the adaptation of this kind of system. I took some picture in the streets of Belgrade several days ago, where the current traffic lights are disassembled, and they're upgrading with new kinds of traffic lights. As for the bicycle transport, Belgrade has the route of almost 65 kilometers of the cycling routes all over, predominantly in Novi Beograd, New Belgrade, and around 150 bicycle rental stations all around Belgrade. Novi Sad, on the other hand, is predominantly plain, and it has all over the city those kinds of cycling routes, because it's much easier to manage your mobility by bike or to be a pedestrian than in Belgrade. The next one is Belgrade Metro. I would not be too precise about this, because the new Belgrade Metro is under construction. It started this year, and it's supposed to be finished by 2033-35 approximately. The predicted costs are 6.6 billion euros. this one is interesting because when we have a Belgrade train, which is not the same as the Belgrade metro, they use some of the same, how should I say, points when you can meet those two ways of transport, also with the other kinds of public transportation, such as the buses, trolleys, and taxis at the same points. That's the similar thing that Pierluigi talked about, the city hubs. As for the Novi Sad, Novi Sad had in the past they had their tram lines, which they cancelled during the 90s, but there are some plans to reintroduce tram lines in Novi Sad in recent future through all these transportation models like Nostrum. And last but not least, the intercity high-speed railway between Belgrade and Novi Sad that already exists and is fully functioning from 2022. This is a high-speed railway planned to be finished fully on the route to Belgrade, from Belgrade to Budapest in 2025. It will be fully functional. For now, it is only on the route of Belgrade and Novi Sad. It's approximately 200 kilometers per hour, and you can easily manage to get from Belgrade to Novi Sad for 30 minutes. Before it was an hour and a half minimum with train, also with cars. So it's a possible solution for most of people living, for example, in Novi Sad and working in Belgrade to have this kind of easy transportation and be more comfortable to use the green kinds of transport like trains and all sorts of transport. That would be it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jovica, for the presented activities undertaken in Serbia in the most populated cities. And now I would like to ask if someone has questions in relation to the presentation that was presented from Mr. Rakic. Well, if not, we can go to our next presenter, and at the end we will have the session with, we will have the part with questions for the presented activities. So now our next panelists are Mr. Michele Babuder, Elberman for Mobility, and Dr. Giulio Bernetti, Director of Mobility and Transport Department of Trieste in Italy. They will share the project Improving Accessibility of Segregated Urban Areas, the new cable car project in the Italian port city of Trieste, the project that aims towards breaking up the flow of arrivals at the port and relieve car traffic. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mrs. Kirkova, and Pierluigi, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Michele Babuder from the municipality of Trieste. I'm deputy mayor. I'm honored to represent the city of Trieste by showing you the opportunities for a responsible development of our urban areas and the infrastructure that the municipality is developing. Trieste is a middle European city that includes a medieval city center, a neoclassical district from the Austrian period, and the residential areas which have developed in the 20th century. So we have a strategic location in the heart of Europe and the intersection between shipping routes and the Baltic, Adriatic, and the Mediterranean TEN-T core network corridors. Leading Italian port, the city of Trieste, which I hope you know has changed a lot in the last 5 years, increased tourism, increased logistic port traffic, new connection and new urban areas to be regenerated. For example, the old port of Trieste, an industrial architecture, which is becoming a part of the city in the last 7 years, and which also required new urbanization and new transport models. The old port of Trieste is an area of more 66 hectares located at the city, at the center of the city, in the center of the city, and it's one of the most important examples of maritime industrial archaeology in the Mediterranean. So it consists of a succession of large buildings, originally used as a warehouse for goods in transit during the regime of the free port of Trieste. It includes 5 piers and 23 buildings, more very, very large building. The area so is subject of a significant regeneration project that includes private funds, European funds, and that are the engine of a new development of this old port. So we hope to develop cultural areas, offices, sport and tourist facilities that require integrated model of transportation. Our department is committed to the definition of areas and development of transport connection between the city center, the old port, and the Carso, the hill that is surrounding the Gulf of Trieste. For this region, please, Mr. Bernetti, I have the pleasure of introducing also technical part that we are developing with the head of the department, and I hope to have you as soon as possible as guest in our city. Thank you for your attention.
Good morning. Thank you for your invitation. I'm the technical part, as the deputy mayor said before, and actually I have a problem because the Italian government decided a few years ago to give all the red zone to the municipality of Trieste. It was the old port, and now it belongs to the municipality of Trieste because all the port activities shift to the new port in the south of the city, down there. And this huge area has to be renewed, and it is in the downtown. I mean, this is the main square of Trieste. A few meters from this area. And this area is surrounded, one side from the sea and the other side from the railway station and the railway network. So it is a closed area. It is a wall, actually, now. We have to renew. We started some years ago with a lot of projects, thanks to some funds that the government decided to give to the municipality, thanks also to the recovery fund. Some projects we have already completed, such as the parking in the north part, which is on the left side of the picture. We are going in a renew a contaminated area. We developed some infrastructure in the yellow part, and a project is actually the works is ongoing in the red part. And we are going to develop all the other colored areas, so all the areas belonging to the municipality of Trieste. Moreover, we have also money to renew some buildings. We have already a new Congress Center in the yellow part. We are renewing the huge building for the Museum of the Sea. The regional administration decided to shift here some offices in 5 buildings, and we are in connection with the private investors in order to sell all the rest of the buildings, because the government decided that the municipality has to sell the buildings and give the money to the port authority in order to develop the new port. But the problem is our now. Because as you can see in this picture, the red area has the sea from one side and the railway network on the other side. All these old warehouses will become offices, hotels, shops, museums, residences. We have a new master plan for this area. And we have more than 1 million of cubic meter to develop. It means in terms of the transportation system, more than 20,000 movements per day from and to this area. And we have no accesses except for a south access and a north access. So how can we solve this problem? Because the problem is not to move within this area, because we have large streets here. But the problem is how to access and how to use the streets that surrounding this area, because all these streets are already congested. So we have a problem to put new cars in this street. So we, inspired from Sarajevo, decided to project a new cable car system, mainly not for tourists, but this is for the movement and for systematic movement in the city. We decided to plan 3 stations in this area, at the end, in the middle, and in the north part, and connect this area with the hills surrounding Trieste, with the castle, with the north access to the city. This is the project. We have already the company. We have already the project, and actually, in the next year, the work will start with a large park in that city, which is called Opicina, which is near Trieste in the north part, and the 3 stations. And we have 62 million for this project. So they are millions from the recovery fund. We hope the project will be good also in terms of because we have some problem with the environment problem, because there is a beautiful park between the hills and the sea. So we have to put the project in a good way in this area, and then also go through the old port, where we have old but beautiful buildings, because it is an heritage site. The cable car system has many goals. The first one, as I said you before, to serve the old port. But we also have other secondary goals. First of all, give a new way of get the city from the north. Trieste has a problem of north access, because we have only 3 streets, three ways that are not good, because it is not, they are congested mainly, and they have a problem. They are small street, because the highway go around the city. But in order to go to the red area, which is the center of the city, from the north, we have no good streets. We decided in 2020 to have, and actually 2019, before the COVID, to have a large investigation of the movement. We have a sound origin destination matrix of the city. We have a good model in terms of way of using the streets, and so we have a good simulation and a good prevision in terms of how people will use the cable car, also with the good multimodal models. It's a simple logic model used between private and public competition. Another goal is that the cable car will connect 2 districts of the city that now are very distant, because Opicina and Barcola these are the names of the two districts, are very, very distant now. We have half an hour to get. We will connect these two districts in 6 minutes. So it's a new way of leaving this area. Another objective, but as a parallel objective, is the tourism, of course, as the cable car you have here in Sarajevo, because you know the cable car is a tourist attraction itself. It is good for cycles. It is good for leaving coach and busing in the north part and get the city center and visit the city in a good way. So this is a parallel objective of the cable car. And finally, the cable car actually will complete the multimodal system of the city and especially of the old port. In this area, we have already some way of moving from the land side, because we have here at the end the railway station, the hub of the urban buses, and also extra urban, suburban buses. We have 3 stations of the bike sharing system of the city. We have some parking lots. And from the seaside, we have already a ferry in the south part, and probably the port will decide to have a new cruise terminal in the large pier. Finally, the 3 stations of the cableway will serve in a good way all this area. Thank you for your attention. This is our project.
Thank you for presenting a very complex project, and I wish you that you will try to implement it in the way that you have been presented, and that will, let's say, at the end brings the benefits to the city and also to for people and for cargo that comes from the port, in order to make free flow for the city of Trieste for movement. Thank you. If the questions, please.
Thank you. I'm Sergio Gariba from the Subgroup on Energy Networks. I have a very simple question. How do you finance, the projects? I assume there are different sources for financing. How do you do that?
62 euros for the cable car system, for the services and the facilities. So we are already complete financed. In terms of during the years of working of the cable car, our simulation gives us good results in terms of using and to have an economic sustainable of this project. Actually, the company of the transit of the bus in Trieste wanted to manage also the cable car during their function.
And how will be the ticketing system for this cable car? So will it be included if you have a monthly ticket for the buses, trains, and all, also valid for this cable car? Is like a tourism that is a different ticket?
Okay. For now, we decided to project the ticket at the same price of the bus. But it is good because we have at this level 1 million euros of positive balance with this simulation, with this logic model in terms of systematic movements. In the future, it could be to introduce a touristic ticket, perhaps also a monthly ticket. We will see with the company that is going to manage the cable car.
Integrated in the system. So if you have a monthly ticket, you can use it for both buses and cable car and everything.
Sure.
Thank you very much. My name is Fran Jepic, coming from Ministry of Infrastructure, Slovenia. I like Trieste very much, and I like your presentation very much. So the cable car as such is great. My question relates, if I understood you correctly, only to one issue. I always say, as a transport man, that urban planning, spatial planning, and transport infrastructure planning should go hand in hand. And you mentioned that Trieste is already very, very congested. But on one of your slides, you were talking about hotels, shops, and so on. So you are generating congestion. Why this kind? I don't have anything against a park, a cycling, or whatever, you know. But something that you attract people into already crowded area is difficult to understand. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the crucial point of the problem, because all these warehouses will become activities, and we know that there will be a new attraction of this area already congested. That's why we are trying to give alternatives. One main alternative is the cable car, and then of course we have to probably manage also a new traffic plan problem for the city. We will take into consideration also the south access of the cities in order to give an alternative also from the south part. This is the alternative for the north part. So we can get some people and shift from the private car to the public mode from the north part. But it will not solve all the problem of the city, you're right, because there are other access to the city that we have to solve in order to give air to this area. Probably in the future, we'll, I don't know, I hope to go on with the cable car also down in the city, but it is another story. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. I just wanted to know, how do people come to the first cable car stop, so to say? Do they come with their cars? Do you plan then to do a very big parking lot, or how will it look?
We are building here a new large parking lot in here. Anyway, most of people from that city, from Opicina, will get the cable car by on foot or by bike, for instance. All the others that anyway now go to the downtown, coming from the Slovenia, this side, and from the rest of Italy, that side, they decide to come here with the car. Probably we stop, a part of them, we suppose 20%. We stop there and get the cable car in order not to congest the center of the city. We have also from the north the railway station, but also the railway system is congested because we have a growth of the port activities in the last years, and we have a lot of use of the railway now from the port, and we have a bottleneck in the north part, and we are already at the limit of the capacity.
Thank you. It was interesting presentation, and thank you for the questions.
Thank you.
So we can move forward, and to stay by the sea. Sustainable tourism and mobility is an important challenge in the Adriatic-Ionian region, especially for the islands. And now we will have the opportunity to see the presentation, Ms. Marina Kuta, Senior Project Manager and Researcher at the University of Patras in Greece. For the last 10 years, she has been working as a manager for research and development in a various national and international projects. And on behalf of Professor Yorgos Stefanides, she will make the case presentation of the case study of Lefkada that purposes and applies a methodological approach to assess various carbon-related scenarios for tourism development. So please, Ms.
So I'm replacing Professor Stefanides because he couldn't attend the forum due to a sudden health issue. So I'm here with you. We're going from Trieste to Lefkas, from the big to the smallest. But let's say that the big trims and plans began from villages, small areas. So let us begin. I will start with Jasminka's mention earlier that improvements in urban mobility are becoming increasingly essential towards the development of greener transport systems aiming to improve people's quality of life, but at the same time minimizing the negative impact of living areas on the region and climate system. So let's take a look at some cases we studied and see the improvements and features. I will start with the case of Lefkada, where we are still implementing the iSmart project. This is a cooperation between Greece and Italy. iSmart aims at the implementation and development of a common port network in the Adriatic-Ionian area. This network is based on the concept of smart, green, and integrated port and the connection of the small ports of the cross-border countries involved. So we have the Mola di Bari, the Otranto, the Mytikas port, the Nidri port, and Nafaktos port. The project promotes the development of short sea shipping intended as part of intermodal routes, which will allow the development of sustainable modes of transport in accordance with the objectives of EU strategy for intelligent growth that enhances the natural and landscape resources of the hinterland. I will not be too descriptive in this slide. I will just want to mention the key aspect for touristic ports and marinas for their flagship, which are the safety and professionalism. This factor refers both to the objective and to the perceived level of safety of the marina as a place to tie up the yachts and boats, to leave any personal belongings and valuables there, and to comply with the international and national safety guidelines. In addition, it is about professionalism and training of the personnel and employees and willingness to provide services of high quality. Then we have the factor which is the easy access and transport connection. This factor refers to the provision of frequent and efficient multimodal transport connections of the marina to the hinterland. The price value, of course, including also the membership clubbing with the relevant privileges, environmental protection and cleanliness, both for the water and the ports and the facilities, showers, environmental protection measures in the marina, and environmental protection actions in the surrounding area. And finally, we have the easy access and use of information. This factor relates to the ease of access for use of the marina facilities and the relevant informative announcements for the port and marina. The importance of safety, multimodality, efficient services, and environmental protection is highlighted in our project. Smart systems that focus on these aspects, both general and transport-specific, along with an integrated sustainable planning and holistic management, can significantly support the facility and enhance its status towards success. So let's move on the sustainable marina concept. So well-established principles define sustainability in terms of environmental, economic, and social criteria. The main issues and various parameters involved in the concept of sustainable development of marinas, focusing on integrated planning and management, are as follows, and they are graphically presented here. It's about cost saving and improved management control, compliance with legislation, improved environmental performance, integration of the elements of an environmental management system, EMS, integration of smart systems, monitoring the economic and environmental performance, meeting customers' expectations, raising awareness and engaging local community, and finally mobilizing and training of personnel. A comprehensive approach for sustainable development of recreational boating infrastructure and marinas should consider the net benefits of embedding environmental, economic, as well as social dimensions of sustainability in the design and operation of marinas, which will be considered as flagship initiatives. The platform of the project is built to integrate the categories of the stakeholders tree so as to inform the tourists regarding the Adriatic and Ionian Sea small ports, marinas, transport connections, and attractions. The use of the platform differ based on the distinct category of the actor. For example, a tourist or an individual wants to know about the port's routes, local points of interest, transportation connections of the region, view data on the map, search for destination, and find paths to destination. He can navigate through all this in the platform. The port and marine operator manages the port and marinas data on the platform. After the safety authentication of identity, he can perform activities such as update information through the online system, including the name of the port marina, its information, spatial information, description, and services offered. And there are different uses for the local businesses who can also register, route and transport manager who are responsible for maintaining the routes and transports on the platform, and the administrator who is responsible for managing of the whole system and maintaining the points of interest. This is a concept which is under research right now. It is beyond the project itself. The goal of the methodology we are developing is to allow a homogeneous and objective classification of 9 classes. The methodology provides an operational tool for stakeholders, taking into account accessibility port requirements, services and facilities that enable the use of port for incoming users, and marine capacity port requirements, characteristics that represent the port's potential in terms of tourism. Reclassification will be a tool that can support the definition of the strategy that each harbor planner can apply based on previously established scenarios. In fact, this will help to find suitable actions to reclassify and update the marina. The Marina of Lefkas has been a Blue Flag Program 2022 awarded marina. The Blue Flag Program is a large-scale flagship program of environmental awareness raising, protection and sustainable management, which is implemented every year in 53 countries in the world. The Lefkas Marina, possibly one of the most modern marinas of the Mediterranean, has been operating since 2002 and has mooring places for 620 boats, up to 45 meters long. It offers a full range of technical boat services. University of Patras cooperates both with the region of Ionian Islands for the touristic boat shelter of Nidri, the Marina of Lefkas, and the region of Western Greece for the infrastructural works of the port of Nafpaktos. Finally, we intend to highlight Lefkada as an example of multimodal transportation for sustainable island tourism and candidate for a green living area. But is the project smart enough for this, for making Lefkada a green living area? The answer is no, obviously, but with the past and ongoing experiences, which can be adapted to Lefkada's needs, we can lead the way to this goal. Just to mention 2 other projects and initiatives, we are involved for a better, smarter, and greener mobility and transport. The one is Sea Roads Platform, is well known to most of you, I can imagine. It's about cooperative intelligent transportation system. It is a platform where authorities and road operators join to harmonize the deployment activities of cooperative ITS across Europe. The goal is to achieve the deployment of interoperable cross-border CITS services for road users. Cooperative CITS encompass a group of technologies and applications that allow effective data exchange through wireless communication technologies between components and actors of the transport system, very often between vehicles, vehicle to vehicle, V2V, or between vehicle to infrastructure, V2I. Another quite old project, it is GIFT 2.0, but it was really innovative back then that created an informative hub centers focused on the improvement of accessibility to Greece, Italy, transport areas, towards belonging territories via integrated tickets and multimodal services for passengers and goods. The hubs that were identified included 9 ports, 5 railway stations, 4 airports, and 7 bus stations. We are now having a project for the green living areas. It is a governance 7-year project in the Mediterranean area. So green living areas must be always sustainable. We are looking for a greener Europe, transitioning towards a low energy and high resilience economy. Green living mobility systems is one of the main applications of a green living area and include personalized multimodal information, personalized mobility services like mobility as a service, shared mobility, parking booking, electromobility and micromobility, policies to increase area friendliness like wider sidewalks and pedestrian areas, traffic calming for increased road safety, active mobility, policies to increase inclusiveness for women, elderly people, etc., promotion of public transport, active mobility, optimization of individual cars. Finally, the cooperation is the key to sustainable urban development and effective management of green living areas. Considering the twofold challenge in the Mediterranean area to increase economy resilience and ensure quality of life, actions should be considered in depth and quickly implemented to first of all address quality of life and environmental policies that require policy dialogue in living areas, design long-term plans for development of sustainable living areas leading to drastically improved quality of life, and finally to consider the lifestyle management of living areas. Key performance indicators is the mean to persuade and open the dialogue with all the different stakeholders. Performance measures help decision makers assess how transportation policies and investments contribute to achieving regional goals. Some indicators could be number of mobility vehicles per capita, traffic calming policies, e-mobility policies, micromobility policies, etc. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Marina, for this example of multimodal solution for tourist flow on the island of Lefkas. And I would like to ask whether someone of you have questions. Please.
Yes, thank you. I'm Sergio Gariba. Very interesting, the presentation. I was wondering about the time horizon. You didn't talk about...
Many concepts.
Yes, okay, thank you.
I
Do
think...
you have different time horizons? I mean, a phased program? Thank you.
It's all different programs, which some of them are already finalized. So we will take some concepts of them in order to integrate them and to go to the green living area concept, which started now, some months ago, and will last for 7 years. So this is the time horizon also for the case of Lefkas. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina, again. The aim of Mobility Islands is to put together a variety of infrastructure, equipment, and also the services to attract, to intensify, and fulfill the people's desire to access the parts of the city. And now I'm inviting Professor Osman Lindo from the University of Sarajevo, Bosnia and Herzegovina, who will tell us. The professor was direct to the last presentation, so sorry. Now we will hear about the project electrification of local public transit fleet in the city of Padua. Mr. Aldo Paribelli, operations manager in Bustiglia Veneto from Italy, a public transport company, will tell us about this project. In the last 20 years, Mr. Paribelli has worked in other local public transport companies in Italy and is an expert in transport and sustainable local mobility.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for being here for me. My name is Aldo Paribelli. I'm operating manager in Bus Italia Veneto. Bus Italia Veneto is a company which belongs to FS, Ferrovie dello Stato Italiane, and operating in public transport in city of Padua and in Veneto region. An overview about our important goals for the future in the next 20-25 years regarding energy, regarding sustainable mobility and safety. For energy and emission, the goal is to become carbon neutral until 2040 for all kinds of energy, for transport, for rail and road transport, and for energy usage for buildings and other structures. About sustainable mobility, we will increase public and shared mobility of 5 points percentual in next 15 years, between 2015. About free transport, the objective of the group is to have 15% of goods moving by rail by 2050. At last, about safety, by 2050, we will bring to zero the number of fatal events amongst the people choosing transport service offered by the group. This is an overview about our goals in next year. As you can see by this slide, the company structure is more complex. We have Bus Italia, Sita Nord, that is the company and subholding of Ferrovie dello Stato Italiana Group, which task is management of local transport service by road and tramway. Then we have other companies that belongs to Bus Italia Sita Nord, key bus that operates in Netherlands, Bus Italia Veneto, Bus Italia Campania and Umbria, that operate in public transport, and then we have other companies that management service and market service. This is the structure of the holding. Some numbers, this is an overall view of Bus Italia company. We covered 103 million of kilometers in 2022. This is the result of Key Bus, the company that belongs to Bus Italia and operates in Netherlands. And this one is a slide about Bus Italia Veneto, my company. As you can see, we covered 27.9 million of bus kilometers last year, with 26 million of passengers and a fleet of 670 buses. This is the actual situation of our fleet in this moment. For urban public transport in Padova, we covered 6.5 million bus kilometers last year and 80 and 60 kilometers by tram, while in regional service we covered 15 million of bus kilometers. About sustainability, this is our goals, our targets for the future in fleet renovation with new electric bus and EUSAIR bus, in real-time info and display at bus stops, in e-ticketing, in demand responsive service for flexible demand of transport, and in building new depots. We are building 3 new depots, 2 in Padua and 1 in Rovigo. This scheme represent all the funding source we have now. As you can see by Recovery Fund and other funding source of funding, we have 46 million for Padua, of which 30 million for bus and 8 million for building new depot. This case is about Rovigo, where we have 14 million of funding by different SARS that allude Piano Strategico della Mobilità Sostenibile and Recovery Fund. some information about the ongoing activities of the group for reductions of CO2 emissions. This is about the renovation of bus fleet. This year we will change 55 buses, Euro 2, 3 and 4, with new buses, 35 Euro 6 and 18 electric bus in Padua and in Rovigo. This is a characteristic of our electric bus. As you can see, we have a system based on overnight rechange for the change of the batteries. This is the characteristic. We have 12 buses in 2023 and 120 buses at the end of 2024. This is an example of our ink pools. It's a bus stop powered by solar panels in which people can have dynamic information on the time of arriving of the bus. We already have 48 additional LED display and 45 at the tram stops. Another important information is about e-ticketing. In the first 2 months of 2023, we has reached 16% of all tickets purchased by e-ticketing. You can see the improving of this modality of purchasing ticket. And in 2021, Bus Italia Veneto has activated contactless the EMV payments with credit card and other system on the tram line called SIR 1. We have just one tramway in Padua. The goal is, the objective is reducing the use of paper for printed tickets and passes and so on. This is the example of the new structure of our depots. The first one is a depot in Pescarotto with 12 charging points, all overnight recharging. And this one, the biggest depot of the company with 90 charging points, overnight charging, the kind of overnight changing. And this one is Rovigo depots with 30 e-charging points, overnight charging. At the end, this is our market, our target, sorry, about sustainability plan and levels of ambition for our company. You can read the project that we are making, renovation plan of flat, purchasing 10% of energy, and other activity we are making. The objective is the CO2 reduction of emission, about 4 points percentual until 2030. Reduce the pollution by fossil fuels of traction, and we will obtain the share mobility, the share to private on public mobility and sustainable mobility of 5 point of percentual by 2050. This is a scale with the most important objective and goals that we will take in the next future. At the same time, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Peribelli, for presenting the project that includes renewal of the bus transport fleets. Are there any questions?
Hello, my name is Maria. I'm from the Energy Networks Group. My question would be about your experience with the electric buses. We had some testing period in Skopje about electric buses and natural gas buses, and the city decided that it's to go for natural gas buses. So my question would be, how much time do they need to charge? How does this impact on the time that the buses are not able to travel and to transport people during the nights when they're charging. What is the impact on the network, of the energy network? So did you have some problems with the charging station? So about your experience, basically. And also one important question about electric buses. Does the range decrease during winter when you need to heat also the inside of the bus? Thank you.
We have a little experience about electric bus. At the moment, we have 12 electric bus in our company. And in the next years, we will buy 112 electric bus. At the moment, we are building depot and recharging structures. And we have not problem with the power source and activities. The problem is that electric bus is a system, a transport system, not an object. So only the future will say us if this is the good street for technology. But with 10, 12 buses, we cannot say if this is the right street. In Italy, the strategy is about electrification. So the technology will evolve for this way, for this choice.
Thank you very much. Congratulations on getting cleaner transport mode. What I'm interested in is how are you financing all these things? Do you receive subsidies for passengers by kilometer, by passenger? And are you going to be subsidized also for electric buses? Thank you.
We have a service contract with the authority for EURUS 4 kilometers. And then for this project, the electrification of our fleet, we received financing by Recovery Fund and other source of finance in Italy. There is a little part of co-financing by the company, but the principal part of the project is about 60 million euros, and 50 million are by funding. The other is in co-financing by our company.
Okay, well, this brings us to the end of our session. Thank you all of the panelists for their contribution. Presented solutions for best practices and conducted studies by the panelists within this session shows that urban mobility is becoming increasingly important, and due to higher pollution density, cities are generator of a significant number of trips, potentially resulting in traffic congestions and also the air pollution. At the same time, the Adriatic-Ionian region, many cities are also city ports, suffering from traffic flows of vehicles generating from the port mixing and adding to the urban mobility ones. Therefore, mobility solutions and innovations primarily in resolving the traffic flows are more than welcome. So thank you all of you for your participation and contribution to the session.